What's up everyone, Robbie here from Plant-Based News. We're super excited to be at the headquarters of UNILAD here in Manchester. We're with Christopher Gribbin, who's the original video director at the company, and we're going to be talking about veganism, his film Meet the End, and a bunch of other awesome stuff. What's up, Christopher?
Hi guys, pleasure to be here.
Tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in UNILAD.
I'm the original video director, mainly focusing on documentaries, on topics that are more serious than your average video, basically. You know, if you're scrolling through your news feed, you get about 3 seconds to grab someone's attention, and then the challenge is you've got to keep it engaged for about another 2 minutes on a topic that they won't necessarily want to be hearing.
What are the best ways to find good content?
For us, I mean, we're myself and my team, we're very kind of like-minded in terms of sort of like what turns us on in the video world is usually the more hard-hitting stuff, or stuff that sort of it needs to have a reason, right? And this is what's always driven me, and which always will, and which kind of reflects in the work. It's just, and then being able to mix that in with, you know, 35 million people, I think we're at now on our page.
Wow.
But you know, to get something I'm passionate about, you know, go around and filming it for however long, and then putting it out, and then watching it get statistics. That's just what it's all about, really.
Do you feel any sense of pressure, or kind of, there's such a big audience, like is there, when you put something out there, it must be quite nerve-wracking to... It's,
well, my producer's very different, because I'm very sort of relaxed about it, and he's very much like refreshing. Oh, we got 1,000. Oh no, I think it's going to flop. It's like, no, don't worry about it.
Because you have is it right, get it right, that you have a rule that if it doesn't take off, you pull it down? Yeah,
I mean, generally, unless it's a campaign, which would be something that's being paid for by a company, if it doesn't get sort of X amount a minute, and that's what the social team are absolute geniuses at in terms of statistics, we'll tend to pull it down. But I mean, sometimes, for example, if it's sort of, you know, if it's a nice topic that just deserves to get some reach, we'll keep it up, because it's not all about statistics, but we like to keep a high standard at UNILAD, and that's what we do.
Let's talk about veganism.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the things that connect us, one of the important things that connect us. How and why did you go vegan?
It's kind of like, I think it's kind of a generic story for a lot of people in my age group, but I think I might have been slightly hungover, and I was on Netflix, and I saw there was this documentary, and it had 5 gold stars. I watched it, and I was like, is this going to have the sort of call it a hangover effect for documentaries? You know, when you get inspired by something and you wake up in the morning and you're like, it's alright, it don't bother me. But no, Cowspiracy woke up in the morning, told my girlfriend about it, said watch this. She watched it, she was like, holy shit. And then the day after I was like, god damn it. So I went vegetarian. I think I went vegetarian for about 6 months. Then another 6 months I just turned to veganism. And then that's when it all kind of like exploded for me in terms of my activism. My activism is very different. I'm not out on the streets. I'm not, you know, sort of showing people videos of inhuman things. I like to make documentaries. So I thought I'll just Skype Kip and Keegan, which that's the perk of working at UNILAD. People are just going to be like, okay. So I hopped on a call, and I was like, oh, so this is happening. They said, we are happy to help you with anything you want, any clips you need, any people, we can put you forward to anyone. And then the ball just went rolling from there, really.
And tell us about the film that you produced. It's short, isn't it? So
literally, I think I'd say about a couple months after that, I came into the office and I was like, okay, so everyone needs to watch this. Everyone watched this, then...
they all watched the film together?
Yeah.
Cowspiracy?
Yeah, pretty much. So then everyone was on the same wavelength. Then,
obviously they didn't all go vegan, but...
No, but I think we had all in all about 7 people going around filming, you know, listening to people, and everyone was learning as they were going, and even people who weren't vegan, like they were being taught by these academics, like when someone tells you something, you can just throw it off, but when someone from Cambridge with a PhD sort of tells you, you know, some serious facts about how fucked up things are, it does stick with you, and it does resonate with you. Basically, the whole project took 7 months, not literally of consistent work, but...
Between everything else?
Yeah, between everything.
And so that 7-month process, like, how did you go about choosing the people you wanted in the film?
My producer, Alex, got straight on the case, and he was just, in terms of Kip and Keegan helped out with a few people. But yeah, just a lot of, wanted to keep it kind of as British as possible as well, because we didn't just want to sort of mimic the Cowspiracy, we just wanted to sort of give the same message in our own way. So we just made it as British as we could. So we kept it England-based, minus Kip's interview that he filmed himself for us. But yeah, we just sort of did some research, found the right people who sort of study in those sort of professions, and just went from there.
And so some of the people that were in there stand out for me, specifically Salesh Rao, who I'm really interested in his theories on humanity.
We have been taught, we have been acculturated into thinking that it is necessary to eat animal foods to have good health, okay? When in reality it is the exact opposite. If you eat animal foods today, you are going to be in ill health. You're not going to be in good health. The reason is that we have been pouring all these toxic chemicals into the environment, and they're working their way up the food chain. And these animal foods have highly concentrated doses of these toxic chemicals. And when we eat them, we are going to ingest that, we're going to store that in our bodies, and we're going to get sick. That's exactly what's happening to us. So, but we are told that you need it, because this is a culturation from the past. 200 years ago it may have been true, that you need a little bit of animal foods in order to survive, because they probably couldn't get some of the minerals any other way, because they were eating the vegetables and fruits that were growing in their neighborhood. Today we have plants and vegetable foods from all over the world.
Him and I have talked a bit about how humanity in its current form kind of exists in this sort of parasitic phase, where just like a caterpillar kind of munching along, consuming everything in its wake. But the beautiful thing about a caterpillar is that it goes into its cocoon and then it becomes a beautiful butterfly. And he believes that humanity has that potential. I mean, what do you think about that?
I've never come across anyone as positive as him, which is why I had like the most respect. It's kind of like, like the David Attenborough effect, when someone's just like, kind of just like everything they say is poetry. I remember something that he said that stuck with me was, when he was doing one of his classes, I think it was about 100 people, and he sort of said, so, anyone who would harm an animal, raise your hand. And like no one raised their hand. He said, anyone who would purposely contribute towards a slaughter, and the inhumane treatment of animals, raise your hand. No one raised their hand. He said, you're all vegan. You just don't know it yet.
What do you think about the idea that people suggest that veganism is a Westerner's luxury, like it's a first world luxury?
There's obviously cultures that literally do not have a choice, right? But we have a choice, and what we have done in the West is what's given a detrimental effect to the planet. Like, we're the ones who are doing these ridiculous sort of industrial farming, we're making it into a serious capitalistic business. Like, it is strictly for profit. And I think it's our job in the West to at least acknowledge it and try and make a change.
If we hold the power over change, we have the opportunity to create change, and why wouldn't we, I think?
Exactly.
So, obviously, as a movement, the vegan movement is growing rapidly. There's like 360% increase in the last 10 years in the UK. But there seems to be a massive disparity between the genders. According to our statistics on our platforms, we have about 86% women and the rest men. And why do you think there's such a massive gap?
I mean, off the cuff, from some of the documentaries we've done in terms of male mental health, we've done a lot of research into sort of like male suicide. Males in general are much more pent-up creatures, and I think people like men tend to have more pressures to be men, right? So in terms of always being happy, never being sad, always being tough, never being weak.
And what a lot of men don't realise is that the consumption of all these animal products is actually harming their health and reducing their lifespan. And that's the irony, isn't it? That you have all these men and fathers and grandfathers there giving their children, their grandchildren, lots of processed meat and animal products, thinking they're being the nurturer, thinking they're being the protector. But actually, if we look at the numbers, look at the data, the biggest killers of people in the West are these diseases from lifestyle diseases, from eating, from consumption of animal products.
They've just been given sort of these false facts, and look at the marketing behind food in supermarkets. It all looks so pleasant, even now still.
So we always hear people say, oh, but my nan lived till she was 95 and she ate meat every day and she did this and she did that. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, like, one thing else, like, human bodies can put up with a lot, right? You might live till you're 90, you might smoke 20 cigarettes every day. But like being healthy is a feeling, and that's one thing that I realised. So when I switched to veganism, and then that sort of made me want to go to the gym a bit more, I was like, wow, I must have felt like shit for a lot of my life, because literally I noticed the change so quickly. And that's what I tell people. Go vegan for a week, you probably won't go back to eating meat, because it's not that hard.
Let's talk a bit about the power of social media and its capabilities. Facebook has 2.2 billion active daily users.
Nearly most of the world, we're nearly halfway into it.
Yeah, so do you feel like a sense of awe and responsibility with the content you're creating?
I mean, I kind of see it as, I think we're sort of now shifting, like sort of TV and radio are kind of sort of disappearing now, and now everyone's like hopping onto Facebook for the news. I just think it's like a generational sort of shift now, and like, even my mum's on Facebook and she's posting pictures of Christmas tree getting put up and stuff, so I think everyone's sort of looking at Facebook now, so the pressure's kind of on Facebook to keep up to this now, because there's a lot of people to keep happy.
Yeah, because there's a lot of abuse on Facebook. There's terrorist content, there's verbal and social abuse of people, there's animal abuse, there's a lot of negativity on there, and Facebook are recently talking about hiring another 7,000 people to police the platform, but it's a lot to deal with. But the actual platform itself, obviously you guys create some amazing content. How do you get it to go so viral? I mean, we obviously, our audience there's a lot of activists in our audience who want to get the vegan message out. Like, have you got any tips or advice on how to push your content and get it to fly?
The only thing I'd definitely say is it's cliche, but it's a whole lot of, you just got to keep on posting. Like, you could start a Facebook page tomorrow and expect to get nothing for months and months and months. It's all about getting a brand, establishing a brand, and just keep at it. Get yourself some brand guidelines so people know what they're looking at. So people are scrolling through a video. Everyone always says, UNILAD's all over my news feed, and you kind of already know it is before it's there. You just scroll and it's UNILAD, it's UNILAD, it's UNILAD. So whatever sort of idea you have, you need to scroll. It's just got to be something that people will know and identify with and relate with. Relatable content's a big one, which is why sort of veganism's a struggle for everyone outside the vegan box, because it's not relatable. People are not going to fully engage with something that's telling them that they're doing something wrong. So in the vegan world, you've got a bit of a different sort of method. But one thing I would say is people aren't too hot on watching abuse. But people do like information given nicely. And I think that's what the focus should be.
Like food and health and the stories of transformation. There's a lot of stories of people changing their bodies, changing their health, transforming issues with cancer, that kind of stuff. So,
alternate health methods are a massive one as well. People really are engaged with things like that. For example, how they're using CBD and cannabis oil to treat cancer. Our audience engage with that massively, and the same thing can be said with veganism and stopping diabetes, heart disease. This is what people want to hear. People know animals get killed inhumanely, unfortunately, but it's a reality that we're facing, and I think that will come with the movement of veganism. So I think focusing on that will do nothing but make the activists extremely unhealthy in their own heads, which then can translate into the content that they then post. Because I do think that's a big one, because after working on that Meet the M one, I saw a lot of videos of animal abuse, and it really doesn't do anything beneficial for you. It does sort of spark this passion, but it's really hard to then make that passion something that's also not just going to make the person who's viewing that feel the same way as you. You've got to sort of take the negative and try and make it positive, and that's the balance with this sort of rise of veganism in social media. A lot of it is kind of like, I know something you don't, here it is, And then, you know, like, that's where the spark of hate's coming from.
Why should we care if these creatures go extinct? And it's that idea of animals being there for us. Like, we don't have to gain anything from the existence of an animal for it to matter. Like, these animals have their own lives and they exist in their own worlds, and we are not the centre of the universe.
We talked a bit about vegan amnesia. So vegan amnesia is a term Dr. Melanie Joy talks about, where you go vegan, you forget that you used to eat meat, and then you stand on the street hurling abuse at people, forgetting that, you know, you used to do that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that kind of persona? You just seem to sort of come across it quite a lot.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, when you go vegan, you get super excited and like super like optimistic, and that you know something that people don't, but you kind of want everyone to know it. But at the same time, no one gives a shit. And that's what you have to remember. My tactics are very much, I don't have any. So people will see that I am a vegan, but I'm also being, you know, my energy levels are up, or I'm happy, or I'm being more positive, or what I'm eating looks nice more that they're eating, or that looks different. That's when they get intrigued, and that's when people will want to be vegan. They won't want to be vegan because I'm running around shouting about it. Yeah. They want to be vegan because they've seen the way it's affecting my life in a positive way. I love vegan activists. No change ever happens without activism. You need activism.
Would you say there's a definitive and effective form of activism?
It's hard to say, because like we'll speak about later on, you know, like Kate Powell, we're doing a documentary like Fox Hunters. They just put so much emotion, and I have nothing but respect for it. But on the other end, I work in social media. I know what people like, and I know what people don't like. Why would anybody want to think, yeah, I want to stand on the street with an anonymous mask and hold a laptop with pigs getting slaughtered? It's not desirable. What's desirable is happiness, you know, enthusiasm and passion. Things like fitness, you know, like being healthier. That's what's appealing.
Social media is so polarizing, isn't it? You put a piece of content up that is controversial, and your comment section is divided between lovers and haters. How has the UNILAD audience responded to the vegan content?
So we split our main documentary, Meet the End, into 3 parts, and then we put those 3 parts on Facebook. So the first one was Inhuman treatment of animals. Very mixed. My favourite comments were ones of us being on top of the food chain. Now, when I see, you know, Rob from USA and his Trump hat saying that he's on top of the food chain, by top of the food chain, you mean you can go into a supermarket and buy an already dead chicken and then fry it and eat it, then, my God, you are killing it, my friend. Like, I don't even know what that means, top of the food chain. Like, I get it, you know, we're the smartest, we're the most intelligent, but it doesn't mean you're on top of the food chain if you're eating meat. That's one of my favourites. Another favourite is they wouldn't even be here because, you know, we wouldn't breed them to eat them.
So the film must have had a positive effect. To tell us a little bit about some of the positive stories, and you must have had lots of great feedback.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, I've never had the feeling I've had when all those 3 videos came together and went viral together. The 6th Mass Extinction one, that was the last one we put out, was just got over 100,000 shares and about 5 million views. And when I was searching on Twitter, sort of mentions, like, the amount of people that are saying that, like, I'm going vegetarian now, I'm considering being vegetarian, like, that was the reason that I did it. And, you know, there's got to be at least a couple hundred people out there who have, like, even if it's one person whose, like, mindset I have sort of not challenged, because that sounds like an aggressive word, but, you know, like, you know, thought-provoking content.
Push them over the edge.
Yeah, exactly. Just sort of, here's some information, these are all facts, just think about them. And I think that's what we learned as well with when we did this project. The first video we did about the inhumane treatment of animals, it was very aggressive, and it fell off quite quickly. People straight away, 10 seconds in, they were thrown off. You know, you're forcing this down my neck, and you know they're kind of right in a way that is forcing something down someone's neck. But we seriously relaxed it with the second 2. And they performed by like nearly double the amount, because it was just informative facts by informed people. Yeah. And people respect that more than just like pigs screaming and blood everywhere and guts.
Yeah, we can't force people into coming to our way of thinking. Yeah. I always say hearts and minds are changed through trust and friendship. You draw someone in, you kind of lead the way, you show them what's possible, you know, and then you can sort of push the slightly harder stuff, but you need people's trust first. You need to be able to draw people in. Let's talk a little bit about things that annoy you. Let's talk about industry-funded studies. What do you think about that?
And the industry's one intention is to make money. And it's as simple as that, really. And I mean, 'cause at the end of the day, the average vegan is not a scientist. You know, if you look at all the lobbyists, all the money, all the investment that is put into keeping meat appealing, you know, maximising it on the markets, processed meat, it's
because there's no broccoli lobby, as Dr. Gregor says. There's no one pushing and advocating people to eat more vegetables.
No, there's not, and you don't see a new advertisement for people walking around eating this new type of wild mushroom that they discovered that's you know, super like beneficial for you. But then you'll see on the advert, oh, but we got this new burger, and what we've done is we've made it double the size. Or KFC, the fucking geniuses they are, they replaced bread with chicken and put bacon in the middle of it. They made a, you know, chicken and bacon sandwich burger, and that's, everyone was losing their shit over it. Oh my god, what a genius idea. Like, what do you mean? It's not a genius idea, like, it's just marketing. And
so cigarettes, it took 9,000 studies for the American government to say we need to start doing something about cigarettes. And the lobbyists, which you just talked about, there was a secret document which was released by the tobacco industry which said "Doubt is our product." It was titled, and they obviously now all our boxes of cigarettes say this will kill you, this gives you cancer, you know, this is dangerous, this is toxic. Do you think that meat products should have a warning, a health warning on them?
Ideally, yes.
What's the future of veganism for you? What does it look like?
It looks really convenient because there are loads of restaurants that can make more than one choice at. But no, for me, if it's going at the rate it's going, and politics aside, it's ever growing. Convenience is what wins most people over. If something's not convenient, they won't do it, you know.
Clean meat, lab-grown meat, is something that's in the news. We're seeing it more and more, hearing more and more about it. What do you think about that?
Are we talking about the meat that literally makes an animal, or just the stuff that bleeds? Because they actually made like an actual animal out of cells.
So not a plant-based meat, cells taken from a biopsy of an animal and then grown like you would grow a plant.
For me personally, no. So it's a couple of weeks into being a vegetarian or a vegan, you realise that actually what you've been doing your whole life is kind of weird. So even if someone offered me something that was exactly the same, my principles would still stand, is that I can live off vegetables, lentils, fruit, and I'm completely happy with it, and I feel perfect doing it. So I'm not craving a big greasy beef burger. I'm not, and I never will.
And also companion animals as well. A lot of people have cats and dogs, and you know, being able to grow cultured meat for these animals would be quite useful as well.
Yes, the human mindset is completely and utterly flawed. You've got cultures in South Korea that eat dog, and then we've got, you know, people in Britain and Europe shouting at them, saying that they're all pieces of shit.
Evil, yeah.
You guys deserve to die. And then they're eating a bacon up there. And then, in India, cows are sacred. So then we've got all these conflicting people who think they're all right for eating a certain kind of animal. And then on top of that, we've got rabbits. You know, your auntie's probably got a pet rabbit. She might go to France and eat a rabbit. And there's no
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, and then you make
love animals, but happy to kill them.
But they use rabbits for makeup because they don't have tear glands to see if they'll, to see what it does to the eye, because they can't get rid of whatever's in the eye.
There's an amazing quote, I can't remember it word for word, but I'll paraphrase. He said that if animals had a religion, they would depict humans in a devil-like form, because we are these beastly creations when we look at it. We look at ourselves through the eyes of an animal, and I think that's what happens when you go vegan. You suddenly see yourself as an oppressive species. Yeah. Obviously, social media is a powerful tool, and it can affect people's mental health. Yeah. The Guardian exposed Facebook for manipulating the newsfeed of some like 600,000 people to see if they could alter people's moods. Right. That's kind of shocking and terrifying, and they found that they could actually change the way people feel about the world. You were saying earlier that kids feel happy and sad and terrified of what's happening in the world. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like right now, we are in the generation of, it's extremism on both sides. So whatever you see when you pull up your phone, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be extreme. So whether it's from travel in marketing, which is like, you know, you need to go here now, here's this couple living life, that's going to put an automatic pressure that you should maybe be doing that when you're on the train to work, going to your 9 till 5. Or if not, you know, we've got some super negative story of, you know, what's happening in the Middle East. It's literally one extreme to the other, which then has a knock-on effect to the people that are using their phones. So if you scroll on and you're feeling jealous at this person, or this person's got this car, this money, and you're in your dead-ass job, and then it just knocks your motivation, which isn't where we should be, which is why veganism has a responsibility to be a positive thing in that. So it's like, you can feel better by taking these actions. Don't put it across in an aggressive way, because it doesn't need to be. You know, letting people know that changing the way you eat can do a lot for you know, how you feel morally and how you feel mentally, you know, and then it'll have a knock-on effect. I promise it'll have a knock-on effect, because I've done it myself.
I think the current population and the current society has the ability to shift the way they eat in a tremendous way to get us out of the situation that we built around ourselves with the environmental destruction that we're causing with our diets. We are absolutely capable of changing, and we will change, and we have changed. We've seen meat consumption go dramatically up, and we've seen meat consumption go dramatically down throughout time in the United States. I think we have the ability, we have the power, and we have the drive to really help our planet. And I think when people are truly informed and they have all the information available to them, they'll make informed decisions that will help the planet and all life on it.
So let's talk a bit about the future. What's next for Christopher?
I can't say fully what's next, but basically from sort of the Meet the End stuff and the inspiration that I received from Cowspiracy, you can expect some controversial topics, and that's the thing that it really did for my filmmaking career. It made me realise that there is a lot of things that aren't spoken out there, and there is also a lot of facts out there that are literally in front of everybody, but are completely covered up, not even that obviously. So we're going to take it upon ourselves to sort of address a lot of these issues.
Will we ever see a film on Netflix by UNILAD?
Well, that is what I truly aim for, yeah. Okay. And we're hoping with our next one, I say we've got two big ones in the pipelines, and then I hope that they can one day make it on there and you can all see.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.